Everybody wants to focus on the bad stuff from yesterday's game against the Packers. Everybody wants to focus on the two interceptions, on the fumbled snap by Cam Jurgens, and no one wants to talk about the good things that came from yesterday's win over the Packers. And full disclosure, before I even get further into the conversation, I'm all for being critical. I'm the same person who was very overly critical about Doug Peterson when he was first hired. I was very overly critical after watching the descent of Carson Wentz from everything what he was doing year 2 all the way to year 5 in 2020. I was very critical about it, and I wasn't really very excited for Jalen Hurts when he first showed up in 2021 as the full-time starter. I remember saying specifically, questioning even whether he was good enough to be the starter moving into 2022, and he shut me up in 2022. That's just a fact. And it's kind of become the main thing nowadays to really just hammer down the hate in the media on a certain player. A lot of teams and players get that sort of attention for no real reason. People are starting to question why Russell Wilson is getting as much hate as he is nowadays off of, becoming a meme with Broncos country, let's ride, 2 years ago, and having the debacle that was the 2-year run he had in Denver. Everyone forgets how good of a quarterback he was before that, and people are starting to realize that now. And now, I'm not going to compare Jalen Hurts to the prime Russell Wilson, of course. Russell Wilson's prime, heavily aided by a really good defense, Marshawn Lynch in the backfield, and a solid coach in Pete Carroll. He had a lot of help. And you can say the same about Jalen Hurts, but I'm not trying to compare and contrast him with other quarterbacks. I'm just saying his situation is very similar in the sense that people are very critical of him. And it's okay to be critical. It's okay for people to have doubt and question things given what you see. However, this is week 1 we're talking about. This is also essentially the preseason game for this team going up against another playoff caliber team poised for a potential run given where they ended up last year with how Jordan Love played and how everything shaked out against Dallas. They ended on a really high note and gave the 49ers a run for their money in the divisional round. That's not something to gloss right over and say, oh, well, Eagles left, points on the table, Hurts looked atrocious, and we could have won better. Well, if we look at the numbers, Jordan Love only completed 50% of his passes for less yards than Jalen Hurts. He also threw an interception that led to 7 points. While Hurts did have 3 total turnovers, but 2 that you could really say were his fault, and a couple of passes that were rough to watch as well down the stretch, his points only amounted to his interceptions only amounted to 9 points, and no one wants to talk about what happened in between those interceptions with 4 straight drives of consistently getting points, of looking like he's figured things out, and making the Packers uneasy because every time they punched, he punched back, and he looked tremendous while doing it. Everyone wants to tackle the one mistake he made in the first quarter with that bad throw, which was bad, no doubt about it, and then, of course, the really bad one in the end zone in the fourth quarter where he was playing hero ball. That was him definitely trying to do way too much. That first play was reminiscent, the first interception was very reminiscent of 2023, where there was just no real creativity with the routes. It was just straight verts, like you're playing Madden, and he just hit X, throwing to Devontae Smith in the middle of the field, and it just did not land. And he also threw late. That was also during the period where, Saquon Barkley slipped, and Cam Jurgens snapped the ball too quick, and overall the team was not functioning properly in that first quarter. They shaked it off in the second quarter. The real issue that I had with Jalen Hurts was that interception that he forced to A.J. Brown, and the one beforehand where he panicked and forced it to A.J. Brown. That could have been a pick 6. Shit happens, And Patrick Mahomes wasn't perfect. He got the dub. No one's clowning on him, am I right? And sure, don't compare Mahomes to Hurts, of course, but I'm just saying, in the situation, Mahomes had a really bad interception that led to points. Jalen Hurts had the same thing. Lamar Jackson, when it mattered most, couldn't make the throws. Jalen Hurts, when it mattered most, got the passes to Devontae, got the passes to AJ. He extended plays with his feet and forced his way to convert first downs when it mattered most. I'm just saying, while he was rusty and while things did not go very well for him, we can be as critical as we want and say that he didn't play very well. But if this is him now, with this new offense that he's trying to maneuver around and learn and get a full grasp of throughout the season, I like where the potential is. And I feel like we should be focusing on the positives just a little bit more than we are the negatives. That's just my 2 cents.